Sir, we are live now. You can start, please.
Good evening to all. A warm welcome to all the participants and YouTube channel Fitness and Rehab India viewers for the ExRxIndia and Sri Samraj Health Services Private Limited's Webinar Super League. We are moving towards a world record, and today's session is 115th. The topic is weight management. In association with Sri Samraj Physiotherapy Center, Pickle Studio, Sairam Academy, Physioactive, and Dusat Creations. The topic is weight management, a client perspective, will be presented by Dr. REJISHA MPT. She is presenting as a client, not as a physiotherapist. She is presently working as an associate professor in Department of Physiotherapy, St. John's Medical College, St. John's National Academy of Health Sciences, Bangalore. I welcome ExRxIndia team members, Dr. Rupesh and Professor Duna Saha. And also now I welcome our resource person, Dr. REJISHA, to start the session. Please, madam.
Thank you so much, sir, for the warm welcome. As sir already told, I'll be talking on a client perspective, not as a physiotherapist per se. There are some things that we learn going through it, so this is something which is very near to my heart. I have constantly battling weight problems since I think since after my marriage, actually. Till then I was pretty well fit and things. So but then from marriage on, it the control comes into our hand, right? What to eat, when to eat, whether we are going to go out and eat. And especially coming to Bangalore, being with such a supportive husband who says, oh, don't cook, we'll go out and eat, it did add on some pounds to my body, plus pregnancy and delivery. The post-pregnancy period also helped a lot in getting the weight on. At my heaviest, I was 87, complaining of severe back pain, knee pain, depression. I wouldn't look at myself. I wouldn't take a picture of myself. It was just too hard for me to go through it. So when sir told about such a program also, I had this thing that, I should talk about it not as a physio, but as a person who have gone through it. And I keep coming back to a higher weight and reducing it. And it's a big cycle, which we need to actually break. So as I went through it, I did a lot of research. I read through a lot of papers, and this is an amalgam of what I have experienced and learned and still learning. Actually, a couple of weeks back, I did a blood test, which showed me the reason for my sudden weight gain for the last 3 months. So all these things I have put together. So welcome to my experience as a client, but not as a physio. So how do you know whether you're fit or fat? The main reason behind weight management, and please remember this, we do have an optimal ideal weight. Above is the obese category and below is the underweight category. So I'll not be dealing with the underweight category because that is altogether a different topic. It becomes too much in a short period of time. So I'll be talking about the overweight sector of it. Okay. So what do you mean by fitness of a person? Does it mean that I can go and carry 100 kgs, then I'm fit? Or does it mean that I can satisfy all my daily activities, running around the house, doing my work, running behind my kids without losing my mind? Okay, so that for me is fit. If I'm able to do my daily activities, the daily chores that comes across as a mother, as a working woman, if I'm able to satisfy that, then I call myself to be fit. Fat, even a fat person can be fit. Okay, if they are able to actually do all the things, then they can be fit. Okay, and this fitness has not only a physical component to it, it has your mental component, your spiritual component, the sexual components. There are so many other components also. As it is weight management and overweight is what we are focusing on today, I'll be just talking about how do you know whether you are overweight or underweight and how do you manage that? Okay, so the first thing what all of us will be knowing is your BMI. What is it? It basically gives a indication on what is your nutritional status in adults. Okay, your weight by your height gives you the BMI. So it is particular number. Okay, so if the BMI, body mass index, is the following, okay, whatever you can see on the screen, then if it is less than 18.5, it is called as a underweight category. 18.5 to 24.5 is taken as a normal person. 25 to 30 is overweight, and sadly I still come in that category. Then is the severe. Above 30 is the obese people. Further, if you go and divide the obesity also, 35 to 39.5 would be severe, 40 to 45, 44.5 would be morbid, and 45 and above is called as the super obese. Okay, at high risk for all your health issues, cardiovascular issues, high risk for heart attacks, high risk for stroke, all these things come into this particular category. Now, the second thing that you would look at when you're talking about fat or being obese is going to be your waist-hip ratio, or WHR, what we call. Okay, it is basically a ratio between the waist and the hip of a person. Okay, so how do you measure it? You take the smallest area of your body, of your trunk. Okay, that to be your waist, and hip is just above your air size. Okay, so these two measurements you take and take a ratio out of it. For males and females, it's slightly different. If it is below 0.8, then it is an excellent WHR for males. 0.85 to 0.89 is good. Averages, that is in Indian community, average is going to be 0.9, 0.95, because we do love our food, and it's sort of little difficult to find people who are really thin in Indian community, especially above 30. At risk is more than 0.9. At risk is in a sense at risk of developing health issues, at risk of developing stroke or heart attacks or other health issues. Okay, in females it is going to be 0.7 or less is excellent. 0.7 to 0.79 is going to be good. Average is 0.8 to 0.86, and above 0.86 is at risk. This is a very good predictor of your serious cardiovascular system health. Okay, so there are so many studies which actually correlates waist-hip ratio to your cardiovascular conditions or health status right now. Another one is your body composition. Body composition is how much amount of body, what is the percentage of different tissues in your body at a particular given time. Okay, so you might be having muscle tissues, you might be having fat, you will be having bone, you'll be having other organs, water is there, all these things. There is a normalized body composition, a percentage of which is acceptable. Okay, how do you find this? You could have come across body composition analyzers, which basically ask you to hold on to a handle like thing. So they pass on a bit of current, very in microampere sort of current into your body. The different tissues in your body would let the electricity to pass through at different rate. And depending on that, that is the resistance of your body tissue. Depending on that, we get a number of saying how much amount of muscle is there, how much amount of subcutaneous fat is there, how much amount of visceral fat is there, how much amount of water is there, what is the amount of bone, what is the other organs made up of, what is your healthy muscle tissue. All these things will come in a analyzed format. It's very important, especially because it gives you the visceral fat. Visceral fat is directly linked to your heart attack problems or your stroke problems, because when you look at it, the subcutaneous fat is still manageable. But if you have fat deposits on your organs, that is called as the visceral fat. So that is going to create much more bigger problems later in your life than your subcutaneous fat. And it's very difficult to lose that visceral fat also. Okay. Next one is your ideal weight. This is something we do on a daily basis. What is your height? Minus 10, minus 100, plus or minus 2. Okay, so if my height is actually 157, minus 100 is 57, plus or minus 2. So I can go either plus 2 or minus 2. So my maximum weight should be somewhere around 59 to 60, which I'm like, another 10 kgs to lose. I don't know when I'll even reach there. But yeah, on the journey there, right? So that is your ideal weight. So ideal weight can be taken up by your your normal weighing machine, but if you're trying to lose weight, what I would suggest is don't look at the number on the scale, because that gives you the whole of the things. Okay, that gives you the muscle mass, that gives you the fat, that gives you the additional the added sum of the whole thing. It doesn't give you idea of what is the percentage of mass muscle you have, or what is the percentage of fat you have. So that is sort of, it becomes an unreliable way of looking at your weight, right? So normally what I say to myself as well as to my client is to chuck the weight machine out, because if you go on the weight machine on a daily basis, you are going to see a lot of fluctuations. Okay, you're going to see that today I would weigh 70, say, and tomorrow I would weigh 72. So one day I become very happy, the second day I'm going to get really depressed because it showed me 2 kgs of weight extra. Now I have no idea where that 2 kgs of weight came from. It could have come from water. It could have come from, maybe I have put on muscle. So it doesn't give me an idea of where exactly I have put on that weight. So that is going to be a issue. So normally I tell, okay, you can weigh yourself. If you're trying to lose weight, you can weigh yourself once in every month, or maximum twice in every month. Okay, otherwise don't look at the weight. It's going to create negative impact on your body, on your psychology, than creating a positive impact. Now, when you see an increased weight number, you're going to get stressed, and that stress is going to again cause you to weight gain. So this is a real cycle which keeps happening. It did happen to me. I was a person who keep on stepping onto the weight machine, and I used to see a huge lot of fluctuations, especially when it is, to your cycle. You can put around 2 kgs, 3 kgs at a stretch, and then you can lose it as soon as your cycle is started or it's ending towards the end. That time I didn't understand what was going on, but it did affect a lot on my psychology. Okay, so instead of that, then what? If I'm not allowed to look at the mission, okay, if I'm not able to look at the mission and get a number, how do I know that I am actually reducing or I am actually putting on weight? The best friend for you is a measuring tape. Okay, so what you do is, if you are on a journey to lose weight, on the first day that you decide that you're going to lose weight, please do measure yourself. Okay, measuring yourself doesn't literally mean measure yourself. You can take help from someone whom you trust and use the same person to measure you later also. Okay, so someone who is very much approachable, someone who is there around to help at any point of time. If women, use your husbands. If husbands, use your wife. mom or siblings, someone whom you trust and know that they'll be around in another 4 to 6 months. Okay, so take their help and measure yourself at your chest, your biceps, your waist, your hips, thighs, and calf also. Okay, take the measurements, record it. After every 2 weeks, you can do a remeasurement to know whether you have actually reduced weight or no. Another thing that you need to look at is your dress fitting. Okay, before it can show up on your weighing machine, your dress would tell you whether you have lost or no. The way the dress fits you, the way the jeans fits you, gives you a better idea of how far you have come across. This is how you normally do tracking. Okay, so you can see she's taken it on day 1 and day 60th, that is after 2 months. Okay, you can see how much amount of inch is lost. So inch loss is much more important than your weight loss or the number that you're going to lose. Okay, the reason I'll tell you. Here you can see the chest, right arm, left arm, waist, hips, right thigh, left thigh, and the weight is also documented, and you can see the difference right then and there. The reason why I say inch measurement is much more important, to such an extent that I actually charge my clients on inch measurements, that every 1 inch they lose, they have to pay me such and such amount. So that is what I normally look at. The reason for that is, when you're doing a strength training, right, you put on or you build up your lean muscle and you lose your fat. Okay, now maybe I have lost 2 kgs of fat, but I could have put on 2.5 kgs of muscle. Okay, which gives an increase in the weight but visible change in the inch tape or on your dress fitting. So that is the reason why I tell that, you don't look at the weight, you look at the inch loss. Okay, so this is a method of assessing and putting it in your file. Now, steps in weight management. First, you have to identify that there is a risk that you are overweight. Okay, and this realization comes often too late. Okay, already they could have had some sort of bodily changes, some sort of disease or disorder, for which they have gone and met a doctor, and the doctor puts into your head that you are 10 kgs or 15 kgs overweight, you need to lose weight. Okay, still the identification doesn't come. It takes a lot of time for us to identify that, okay, fine, I really need to lose. Okay, so identification of the problem becomes one. Reflection, what is that I did wrong or where it went wrong. Okay, that thing, because normally in India, basically we don't have much of a childhood obesity as we see in US or Western countries, right? Because the way that we eat and the amount of physical activity that was involved, Indian kids were not obese. It is changing right now because of the amount of junk food that has come into the scenario, but it might cause obesity problem later. But before, when I was kid, that is around 20 years back, there wasn't a issue of obesity because we were really active. The best gadget we ever had was a building block video game, which would go out in 1 hour or 1.5 hours of use. So we were literally left with no other option than to go out and play. So that did keep our obesity under control. Plus, eating out was a luxury. Me being brought up in a typical Kerala family where my mom was cooking every day. Food from out was like, once in a blue moon. If it was someone's birthday, we would go out, or especially if it was my mom's birthday, we would go out. And that going out also could be to a temple, and means you're not going to eat any non-veg food. So the amount of eating out was lesser, but nowadays it is on an increase. So you need to understand yourself, when did I start putting on weight? Okay, or when was the time that the most thing that clicks you is, when did I run out of that particular dress, especially if it is women. When did that particular dress stop being fitted for me? Okay, so you reflect on yourself, find out the time period where you started getting your weight on, and then see what went wrong there. Okay, so that is reflection. Assess and set a goal. So once that is done, once the realization have set in, once the reflection have set in, and you know where you have gone wrong, you go and assess and set a goal weight. That is, you look at your ideal weight, you look at your BMI where it starts, you look at WHR, you take a analyzation of your body and see what would be the place where you are standing currently. Okay, so you assess the situation and set a realistic goal. It is not possible for you to lose 6 kgs, 10 kgs in 1 month. If you're losing that way, it is not going to stick with you either. Okay, the ideal weight to lose in a month would be somewhere around 2 to 2.5 kgs. That's it. Okay, if someone tells you that you're going to lose more than that, they're probably kidding themselves. They're probably trying to sell you something to make your weight come down, but not otherwise. It's not an ideal proportion of weight to be lost in 1 month. So if your goal is to lose 10 kgs, then give yourself 6 months. Okay, so you set a goal, and what I found really which works. Okay, for me it was to set a small goal. That is, say for 10 days I would look at losing 1 kg, or 800 grams. Okay, instead of looking at the whole month, because whole month it's going to be intimidating, whole 6 months is going to be more intimidating. So there are chances of you to go back on your goal. So don't do that mistake. You set small goals, ultimately building up to the bigger goal. Okay, set a goal which is needed for you to come back to your fitness level. Set a goal where it is going to be your ideal weight. So say if you take my example, right now I'm 70, I should go somewhere around 60. So that will take another 10 kgs for me to lose, and it's not healthy for me to lose 10 kgs in 1 month or 2 months. Okay, so I'm going to keep the goal for another 6 months going, so that it comes down at an acceptable range. Now, why shouldn't you lose that much amount of weight in 1 or 2 months? When you put on weight, the subcutaneous tissue makes your skin really stretchy. Okay, the skin can keep on stretching. How much of a stress you put on it, it can keep on stretching. So the weight actually gets deposited under your skin. And when you lose that, if there is no enough time for the skin to get adjusted, you're going to probably have a saggy skin. So that is one of the main reasons. Another one, it's not just healthy for you to lose like that. Okay, give yourself enough time, set a goal which is achievable, set micro goals which can contribute to the bigger goal. Okay, then is your action. So once you know where you went wrong, okay, say I got a new job and I'm sitting at the desktop for a longer period of time, so my physical activity have come down. So if that is the problem, then you exercise, you include your exercise component. If you feel that you have come out of home, you have come to Bangalore, there is lots of junk food, fast food available, and I started eating from out instead of my home cooked meals, then that would be the problem. Okay, another major issue, psychological issue, your hormonal issue, which needs further management. I'll be talking about it in the next session. So action actually talks you, if there is any hormonal issue, take the hormone supplements, whatever, after consulting with your doctor. Take the hormone supplements. I am talking about a bit about other hormones which are involved in it. If it is the diet, control your diet. If it is physical activity, add on your exercise program to it. So that is your action. Keep tracking your progress. That's what I was telling about. If you're taking the inch, take it every other month, or every month, or every other week, so that you physically can see the difference. Another main important thing is take your snaps. The first day, how did I look? Right now, how do I look? So you won't really believe it, but the difference is going to be really, really good. The difference is going to kick you really well towards your goal, because it gives you such a psychological reward when you see the difference in phone, in your photographs. Okay, so take pictures of the first day, 15th day, 30th day, 45th day, 60th day, so on and so forth, and then compare the pictures. You will get to know whether it is actually working or no. So that is your tracking. Once you achieve the goal, yay. Okay, once you achieve the goal, next comes the most challenging phase, where I personally have failed 110 times. Okay, I achieve my goal, then I become overconfident. I'm like, oh, I know how to lose my weight, so it's okay, I can eat. I start eating, I don't maintain my goal weight. Okay, I fail at it again and again and again. Now I'm sort of figuring out how to maintain my weight, but goal weight. But it really took me around 4 to 5 years to know that my weak point was the maintenance of weight. So maintenance of weight itself, it's going to be a real challenge. I will talk about it in each section, how to maintain your goal weight as well. So most common components of weight management. One, psychological. Okay, that is the first one I have put on. One is your psychological, second one is your hormonal, third one is your diet, fourth one is your exercise. Just because I have put psychological above doesn't mean that it has the upper hand. All these four components are equally important in weight management, in losing your weight. Okay, psychological. So psychology behind weight management. The first one is denial. Hey, I can never put on weight. No way I'm overweight. I have always been thin. I'm going to be thin. I'll never go over 60 kgs. No way. This is something I told myself. Till the date, I went on shopping, and I was small that time. The last time I bought a jeans was small, and small couldn't fit me, medium couldn't fit me, large was the one which was fitting me. So till then I was in denial that no, I'm not putting on weight. It's just, something else. Okay, I didn't identify with the problem. I didn't understand what was happening. So that becomes your denial. Then is law of inertia. I'm comfortable in this particular place. Why should I eat healthy? Why should I start working out? Okay, even if I have to start working out, I'll do it tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Duna, I'm audible, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're audible.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. So I'll just do it tomorrow. You could have heard about Ganpati's marriage. It keeps on happening day after tomorrow, day after tomorrow, or day after tomorrow, tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. So another main issue was law of inertia, or my mentality of being stuck where I was. I didn't want to do something to change my daily routine. I was at that particular time I was new to working, so I just didn't know how to juggle so many things together. And it was always okay, I have to work out, but tomorrow I'll start. I'll start tomorrow, and finally something happens that I have to start today, otherwise it's not going to happen. So that law of inertia, that psychological seeking out for comfort zone becomes very evident. Then comes your depression, stress, anxiety. These can be given up by different changes in your life, right? It can be a new job, it can be motherhood, it can be just being at home. Okay, any point of time, anything can cause a depression or an anxiety or a stress level to be high. So right now, psychology, or if you say in Indian mentality, if you say that you're going to a counselor, that we are having difficult time, or I'm having difficult time and I'm going out to a psychologist to get a little bit of help, it's not taken in a positive way. It's not taken that, okay, she's trying to fight something or he's trying to fight something. It's taken, oh my god, this fellow is mentally cracked. Right? You don't get a psychological support or moral support. So which along with the changes that have happened in our society, that is nuclear families being more and more common, so there is no support system from the family side to fight or to tackle the difficulties of life. You don't have friends hanging out together just because you're too busy. In Bangalore, we don't even talk to each other because you are so damn busy in your own life. So all these things, there's so many components for your psychological well-being. So depression, stress, anxiety, all these things can cause you to eat. Okay, the reason behind it also is in the next slide. I'll talk to you about it. You could have heard about binge eating. Okay, someone is tensed, you have an exam tomorrow, and what do you go and do? You eat chocolates, you eat Maggie, you eat anything which is coming in your hand, you eat biscuits. Especially if you think about it, your body would crave for carbohydrates, okay, or sugary items, so that when you're stressed, you need to fight that or have a flight. So your muscular system needs the energy, and that particular energy comes from the carbohydrates. So your body naturally get inclined to eating carbohydrates, which is called as binge eating. You could have already known about it. Without any reason, you're just eating, going on eating. You had a breakup with your boyfriend, you eat ice cream. You had a horrible result, you eat ice cream, or you order from out. Now Swiggy, Zomato have increased obesity like hell, because it makes the food much more available to people than it was before. Before it was like at least you had to walk to the shop. Now that also you don't have to do. You just have to sit, open an app, and click on it. The food will come home. So that is also a component. Binge eating is being rewarded in a way. Okay. Then the overconfidence, which I talked to you about earlier. I have lost my weight. Now I become overconfident. I am sort of, oh, I can lose this anytime I want, so I can eat. So you end up eating more and more, thinking that you know how to tackle the problem, right? So then the overconfidence sets in. You have a mentality that, okay, even if I eat this much amount of calories, I know how to burn it off. So that is very dangerous, especially in your maintenance phase. Now, coming to the hormones in weight management, I have taken out the hormones which are very relevant, especially to women health, very relevant and very much which plays its role in weight gain. The first one is cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. Whenever you get stressed, cortisol is the stress hormone. Whenever you get stressed, your hypothalamus tells, okay, the person is stressed. And then it signals your pituitary to signal to the adrenal gland to cause a release of cortisol. What does the cortisol do? Cortisol helps with flight or fight response. Okay, so our ancestors, our forefathers, when they were hunting in the wild west, right? If they could have come across a bear right now, in the slide you can see, he had two options: one, either to fight the bear or to run away from the bear. Okay, both of these things need energy. Both of these things need your muscles to work. Muscles to work needs energy. Preferably the muscular system will look at the carbohydrates because it needs the energy then and there. It can't wait for later. Okay, so what a cortisol does is it makes the glucose available to the body. Okay, it can work on it can be different methods. It can work on gluconeogenesis. It can work on all the cycles where the glucose are being made available to the body as an energy source. But in our forefathers, they had to fight that person, that danger, right? Or had to run away. So all this glucose, all the energy was used up. Right now, what is happening to us? We have a stressful environment, be it your college, be it your office. Okay, you have stress mentally. It's not physical stress. It's not a bear running at you so that you can either fight the bear or run away. Okay, it is physical, it's mental stress where you are not physically active. You are not burning any energy or or making the musculoskeletal system to work against anything. So what happens? The amount of glucose which have been released in response to your cortisol bees in the body. Okay, that can again get converted into fat. Now, another thing this cortisol does is, for all the glucose creating cycles to kick into, it takes some time. So the first thing the cortisol does is makes you hungry. Okay, and seeks out to carbohydrates or seeks out to sugary food. Right now in our current scenario, so here you can see that there is an increase in stress. There is a response of the body, that is the flight or fight. Okay, and then the cortisol gets released. When the cortisol gets released, you become hungry. Why do you become hungry? Because you need energy to either fight or go away from that particular situation. So the body naturally it goes into a high calorie food hunting. Okay, the problem was, before, to get a high calorie food, they had to actually hunt. Right now it is packaged and available to you right in front of you, in your house. It is highly available, all the sugary food. Okay, which when you take increases the glucose level, increases the amount of extra glucose in your body, which is again converted into fat and stored for later. So basically it is all a misadjustment of human body, what human body was designed to do and what it is currently doing. That difference is the cause of your obesity. Okay, before we had to hunt and eat, that itself was physically exerting, right? When you hunt and eat also, you don't get Lays and you don't get Coke and Pepsi. You get lean meat, fruits or vegetables. Okay, so you got good food after physical exertion. So when the food is taken in, it is nourishing your body. And whenever there is a fight or flight risk, you can use that energy to fight or flight. But right now that is not the condition. Right now, if there is high calorie food is there, it is there, it is readily available. You just have to give 10 rupees, 15 rupees, and a Lace packet is there with you. One Lace packet would give you 456 calories. Okay, so think about it. Even though cortisol causes gluconeogenesis and gluconeolysis, but your body is always looking for a hack. If it gets that it wants without having to undergo a lot of work, then it's going to opt for that particular option that is, readily available. How do you control your cortisol? Meditate, slow down. Okay, don't be always stressed. If you know that you're stressed, address it, talk it out to your friends, your family. If that is not going to help you, then seek help, seek professional help. There is nothing wrong with that. Okay, take help from your psychologist or a counselor. Say that, I am not able to do things. It's okay if you're not able to do things. Okay, you don't have to be always wired and tired. You can take care of it. This cortisol makes you wired and tired. That is, you are ready to fight, but you're hell lot of tired. Okay, so this is a particular phase that we use for cortisol. Be positive, have fun, go out with your friends, have weekends with your friends, unwind, travel. You don't need to always be stressed. You don't need to always be taking care of your roles. Okay, as a student, as a teacher, as a practicing physiotherapist, and the amount of stress that you put on yourself is going to cause you to gain weight. So be careful about that as well. So cortisol is the one behind all those. Next is your insulin. Insulin actually works as a key. Okay, if there is a cell, you need the cell needs ATPs, the energy to do any work, and that is coming from the glucose. For the glucose to get into the cell, there is a door. The door can be opened only by insulin. So here, if you see the purple key-like thing is the insulin. The insulin receptor is there, which the insulin gets attached to, and that attachment can actually open the glucose channel. If the glucose channel is open, the glucose from the blood can get into the cells and be a part of the energy releasing system. Okay, so now, if there is something called as insulin resistance, then what happens? You have too much of insulin. So when too much of abundance is there, then the receptors become resistant to the insulin. It's like the best example is alcohol. Okay, to get the kick out of alcohol, the first day you might not need too much. Okay, the first day you will get the kick in one peg or so, but the second day it would go up little. The third day it will still go up. Fourth day it goes really up. So you can see alcoholics who have to end up drinking liters of alcohol to get the kick. That is because they have the resistance to it. The same way, if there is too much of insulin in your body, your insulin receptors become resistant to the insulin. What will happen then? Then it is that the insulin is there in your blood, but it is not efficient in opening that insulin receptor. It's not efficient in binding with the insulin receptor, and it is not able to open the door for the glucose channels for the glucose to get into the cell. When that happens, there is too much of insulin in the blood, there is too much of glucose in the blood, but the cell itself is starving. Okay, it doesn't have the raw material to get the energy, right? The cell is starving. So starving cells, high glucose level, high insulin level makes you hungry and craving for food. You end up with overeating, which releases further more carbohydrates and furthermore glucose into your body. The presence of glucose in the blood is being picked up by pancreas. Again, more insulin is being secreted, but that insulin is resistant, and that receptors have become resistant. So the cycle keeps on increasing. Now, the second work of insulin, other than making the glucose available for the cells for the energy, the second work is to store it. Okay, for when the body anticipates a risk. How do it store it? It moves it into a fat. Okay, so when insulin is there too much in abundant and there is glucose also abundantly available, the glucose is readily changed into fat. So that is what is happening in case of a insulin resistance. Any questions with this? Because it's little tough to understand. Any questions, guys?
The participants, you can raise the questions.
No.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, because it's little difficult topic, because if you don't really understand the concept behind it, it's really difficult later also. Okay, so that is your
Somebody is asking, please explain.
Explain what?
Ria, Dr. Ria is asking, please explain, madam.
Explain
Unmute Ria, please.
insulin.
Dr. Ria is messaged resistance once again.
Once again, yeah. Explain about resistance.
Okay. So what happens is you eat food, right? And there is carbohydrates in it. It gets converted into glucose, and the glucose, the blood has the glucose in it. So in response to the glucose in your body, the pancreas, okay, you will be knowing all the fancy terms and names. I'm not going to go in detail. I just want you to understand the concept of it. It increases, it releases insulin. Okay. Now, when you release the insulin, I'll go back to the last cycle. Are you able to still see my slide? Because
insulin slide is available here.
Yeah. So I just want the cursor for this particular 2 slides so that they'll understand what is happening. Okay. So when you have glucose in your body, the insulin is released, right? This is your insulin. Now, this insulin on every body, in every cell, has a insulin receptors. So this insulin becomes a key-like thing, and the receptor becomes a lock for the door, which allows the glucose to get into open. Okay, so this is like a room. You have a key, you have a lock, and you have people from outside who needs to get into the cell. Okay, into the room. So now this insulin, when it is readily available in your blood, in response to the glucose, this is what is happening normally. Okay, this is not insulin resistance. This is what happens normally. So the insulin comes, gets in touch with here right now. Okay, the insulin actually gets in touch with the insulin receptor, which actually opens the door, okay, the glucose channel, for to let the glucose get inside the cell. Now, once the glucose gets into the cell, you know all the cycles that you have studied in biochemistry. It takes part in the cycles to create ATPs, and that ATP is used for the cell, right? So this is the normal working of insulin. Now, the second one is going to be insulin resistance. Here you have your cell, right? The red thing, the red circle things are your cell. You have insulin in your body. Now, if you keep on eating carbohydrates, right, in response to the sugar or the carbohydrate or the glucose in your food, the pancreas senses it and throws insulin into the body, into the stream. Now that insulin comes, okay, and if the glucose is too much, then too much amount of insulin is being released. That is, abundance of insulin is there around the cells in the blood, right? For which the insulin receptor doesn't react to the insulin. Okay, so now this particular receptor becomes resistant to the insulin in the blood. Okay, now if this is not reacting, or if the receptor changes its integrity, the insulin is not able to act as a key. Okay, the insulin is not able to react with the receptor. In short, it is not able to open the glucose channel through which the glucose has to enter into the cell. Okay, so what happens? Too much of insulin is there in the blood, too much of glucose is also there in the blood, readily available, but because the receptor have become resistant to the insulin, the glucose is not able to get into the cell. Okay, now when that happens, the glucose is essentially starving. Okay, it's not getting the energy that it needs. Even though glucose is there outside, the cell is not getting it since the cell is starving. It's not getting any energy from the glucose. So you have a starving cell, high glucose level in the blood, high insulin level also in the blood, which causes you to have hunger, cravings, okay, especially for sweet things. So you end up eating a high carb diet. Okay, it can be a McD, it can be KFC chicken, it can be anything. Okay, anything which is high in your carbs. Now, when the high carb is there, okay, that is also glucose, isn't it? So your body is to recognize the carbohydrates. The moment it goes into your mouth, it starts changing. The carbohydrates starts changing into a glucose. So the moment it comes into your mouth, the pancreas again releases insulin, thinking that the amount of insulin is needed to get the glucose inside, but then the receptors are not working. They have become resistant to it. They are not going to open or react to the insulin. So the insulin is not able to push the glucose into the cell. Okay, so that is a cycle, and that is called as the insulin resistance. I hope I have made it clear. Dr. Ria, are you okay with that explanation?
Yes, she responded. In the
She says
chat.
she's okay.
Yeah, all right. So we'll just carry on with the rest. How do I get rid of this? Okay, fine. So you're able to see my slide, no, Duna? Ma'am?
It's appearing. Yeah, appeared. Please continue, ma'am.
So the next hormone which I'm going to talk about is something called this leptin. Leptin is basically adipocytokinase, that is protein made out from the fat. What the leptin does is, okay, when we eat food, there is fat which is generated, and from that the leptin is being secreted. The secreted leptin actually is picked up by your brain, and the brain realizes that you're full. Okay, so the brain signals you to stop eating. Okay, so leptin is the person who asks who tells, he's the messenger who tells your brain that, okay, this lady has had enough of high carb diet, please ask her to stop. Okay, or high protein diet or fat diet, please ask her to stop. So that message is being received by your brain, and then you stop eating. Okay, so that is the normal work of leptin. It decreases your appetite, it increases your metabolism, and it decreases your insulin secretion as well. So these are the three components of leptin working as a person who's good for your weight loss. Okay, it asks you not to eat, it increases your metabolism, whatever is there to increase the metabolism, or how effectively you're going to burn your energy. Okay, and it decreases the insulin secretion. If insulin secretion is decreased, then there is no insulin resistance. Okay, so that is also there. So that is how your leptin works. But there is something called as leptin resistance as well. The same way you have insulin resistance, you have, leptin resistance as well. So say the person is too obese and he keeps on eating, more amount of fat is being deposited. In such a case, more amount of leptin is actually secreted. Okay, now over a period of time, your brain doesn't see that increased amount of leptin. Okay, the brain gets used to an increased level in leptin. Okay, so the brain doesn't signal the body not to eat. So that becomes a leptin resistance. Okay, that is, if the person is too fat, then leptin is released in a very high amount. Okay, where the brain gets used to that high amount and doesn't realize that there is an increase in leptin in response to eating. So the brain doesn't realize that you need to stop eating. That signal is not given to us and we keep eating. So that becomes another cycle, which is called as the leptin resistance. Now, there is something called as Ghrelin. Okay, ghrelin is the opposite of your leptin. Ghrelin makes it's the hunger hormone. Okay, whenever you are hungry, the gurgling sound that comes from your tummy, that is because of your ghrelin. Okay, so what happens is it's actually produced by your stomach, hunger hormone. It makes your brain seek out to food. Okay, so often what you hear is after diet. Okay, if you look at your mother who's fasting, who's doing a karwa chauth fasting, okay, after drinking she's going to have lots of food. Okay, that is because of this fellow, this girl. Okay, that is responsible for rebound eating. Okay, so I have dieted, now my tummy is full of ghrelin, it's making my brain seek out more food. Okay, and I'm not satisfied, I keep on eating. Okay, so interplay between your leptin and your ghrelin is going to help you maintain a good weight. So before eating, your ghrelin amount in the stomach will be very high, which signals the brain to seek out for food. Okay, once you eat, okay, the ghrelin amount actually drops. Okay, before eating, the leptin is low. Okay, and once you eat, the fat is being produced, leptin is created, secreted, and the brain got the signal. Okay, so interplay between ghrelin and leptin keeps your weight in a optimal range. I hope I am clear with that also. If there is any question, I'll come back to it when we deal with the question and answer session. Next one thing, okay, especially in women, estrogen. Now, estrogen is not a bad guy. He's not the villain, but estrogen dominance is the problem. Okay, now estrogen dominance can happen in many ways. It can be that you have more estrogen and less amount of, or normal amount of progesterone. Dominance is estrogen and your progesterone should be in a good ratio. Okay, if one falls and the other goes up, if the estrogen goes up and the progesterone falls, it is called as estrogen dominance. If the estrogen remains normal but the progesterone drops, again it is called as the estrogen dominance. If both go up and down, then that is also estrogen dominance. So anywhere where your progesterone in comparison to your estrogen is less, it becomes a estrogen dominance. Okay, what does estrogen dominance do to your body? It reduces your metabolism. Okay, the effectiveness of making energy out of your food, that comes down. Okay, which increases your weight even to small amount of food. That is the amount of food that you eat could not have increased or decreased, but because of the estrogen, the metabolism is sluggish, so it's not using up all the food that comes in, hence there is a weight gain. It causes your water retention as well. Water retention can really put in at least 3 to 4 kgs in your body. Okay, it causes mood swings. So the symptoms you can see: water retention, breast swellingness and tenderness, heavy irregular periods, fatigue, sugar craving, weight gain, fibrocystic breast, mood swings, uterine fibroids, and many things, facial flushing and all those things. But basically estrogen dominance causes you to put on weight, gain weight in the pear shape, especially on your lower abdomen and the hips. That's the reason women in the later stages, like 40 up, has the pear shaped weight gain. Okay, where your upper body is small and the lower body becomes bigger. It causes water retention, it causes mood swings. Okay, so that is your estrogen. Next one is your thyroid dysfunction. This was the cause for me putting on 7 kgs in last 3 months. So I was telling you that, I did a blood test and TSH was way off the chart. It was 16 something, where I had to increase the TSH and the thyroid medication that I'm taking currently. So that causes you to retain water it causes unexplained weight gain, it causes your metabolism to go down. All these things in case of hypothyroidism. Okay, TSH goes high means you're hypothyroidic. Okay, you will lose hair, you'll have fluffy, puffy eyes, face, dry skin, cold. You're not able to tolerate cold, weight gain, constipation. The things are endless. So weight gain is one of the main cause of TSH. If there is a person who talks about weight gain, sudden weight gain in last couple of months, get the TSH checked. Okay, that can be the main reason. So what all hormone misfires can cause you weight gain? High cholesterol, high leptin, leptin resistant, essentially low thyroid, that is hypothyroidism, high insulin, again high insulin resistance, estrogen dominance, growth hormones, because then the low growth hormone doesn't. You need high amount of human growth hormone for your muscle to build up. If that is not there, and the fat gets built up, then you get more weight. Okay. Now coming to the third component. So we already dealt with psychology and hormones. Coming to the third one is your diet. There are lots of fad diets. Okay. The famous ones are Atkins, paleo diet, GM diet, all these diets. The problem with the fat diets is you do lose weight, but then you rebound. Okay, you rebound with double or triple the weight. I have tried all these things. I have tried GM, I have tried Atkins, I have tried paleo diet, everything I have tried, and I was not able to continue it for a longer period of time. Now, GM diet is where you eat 7 different things on 7 different days. They say you can lose up to 7 kgs. So it was, there is a myth that it was being created for General Motors employees by John Hopkins Research Center, but it is not credited. The story is not credited. But in the first day, they ask you to eat only fruits. Second day, they ask you to eat only vegetables. Third day, you're going to eat bananas and milk. Like fourth, fifth and sixth day you eat lots of meat. Seventh day you're going to have a mix of it. So you lose a lot of weight, but then the moment you eat normally, it just comes back. The second, I'm just going to talk about the main diets or main things which are currently being discussed a lot about in the medical community. One is your keto diet. Second one is your intermittent fasting. Both of them, for weight gain, please remember, it's because of your calorie intake. Okay, so the major factor for you to lose weight should lie on calorie deficit. Calorie deficit is, you will be knowing, for our normal day-to-day life, we need around 1500 to 1700 calories per day. If you are eating more calories, that is your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, it goes beyond 1800 calories, then you have 100 plus calorie that is not burned in your body. Okay, so in order to lose your weight, you need to create a calorie deficit. That is, the calorie that you take in should be lesser than your demand. Okay, so if my calorie demand is somewhere around 1700, I should be eating I should be eating somewhere around 1200 to 1300 calories per day, so that at least 700 or 400 calories of differences or deficit is there, which causes the fat which is stored in my body to burn up. Okay, so that is calorie deficit. Now, keto diet and intermittent fasting, it's very, very common right now. But from my side, I would recommend a balanced diet with micro and macro nutrients involved in a normal eating pattern. That is your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like how your grandmother ate. Okay, if your grandmother ate it, you can eat it. So that is the normal criteria. People come and ask, okay, this packaged water, which is of very less calorie, can I drink? It's one of the things that I tell my clients: please don't have anything preserved, anything packaged. If your grandmother had the thing with in her life, then you can have it. But again, the calorie requirement for your grandmother was very different, because she was working out a lot more. So what happens is, where we went wrong in Indian community is that our food is carbohydrate based. Okay, so morning we would have idli and sambar. Afternoon we would have rice and dal and vegetables or fish or non-veg. Okay, night we would have chapatis or rice. So if you see, the component which is very through and through is your carbohydrates. This was needed when the Indians, we were actually of agriculture background. We were working too hard. We were working in the farm. We were, pushing agricultural things, and we were taking heavy load. The physical exertion was too heavy on Indian community as when compared to your UK or US. Okay, because we were farmers. And all the fancy equipments that we have today were not available then. So they literally had to do, that is my grandparents or my great grandparents had to do everything through their own two hands, and they didn't have much help. So their calorie demand for a day could have been 3,500, and they were actually burning that. For that 3,500 to be maintained, they need to have a very good breakfast. They needed to have a very good heavy lunch and a dinner, all three. Now, dinner also, I remember when in my childhood, we used to have dinner by 6:45 in the evening. That is the time my grandfather came from. He used to run a business, so he used to come home by 6:45. 7 o'clock, 6:45, all the kids would be around the dining table. I grew up a little bit along with my grandparents. So we were around the table by 6:45. By 7:15, we would finish our lunch and we'll be off to sleep. So the next day, the food comes at around 8:30. So on an average of 13 hours of fasting is there. Okay, and now this is important in the next slide. That was the way that our grandparents ate to take care of their energy demand. Their work actually needed that much amount of carbohydrates. Where we failed as Indian community is that we changed from farming to being service community. We went from farming and being physically active to daytime job, which needed you to sit in front of laptop, or as students you are going and sitting in front of the teachers or in the class, right? 8 hours you are sitting. So before we had Gurukulam, where the kids have been sent away to the Gurukulam to serve in the Gurukulam and learn along the way. So they were doing physical activities and learning. Now what is the problem? Everything is ready-made. You come, you sit, we teach, you get lost. Okay, so now that problem is a issue where we have not changed the diet. Okay, so instead of eating 4 idlis, if you come down to 1 or 2 idlis, that is enough for right now what demand we have. So I would suggest, I don't suggest a keto diet. I don't suggest any other diet. Carbohydrate is important to your body. It is important to your brain, especially in your breakfast. Breakfast, in a sense, whenever you break your fast. So it is important to your body. Do have it, but not the way our grandparents had it, because they were using that amount of energy for their physical activity. Right now, our physical activity have come down, for we need to control the portion that we eat. Okay, that is what I normally say. Now, ketogenic diet is a low carb, high fat diet. Okay, the amount of carbohydrate that you eat is very less, but your fat is very increased along with your proteins. So what happens is, the metabolic pathway changes, okay, than where the carbohydrate is the first to go energy source, it changes into the fat. Okay, there is something called as ketosis, which comes in during the metabolic cycle, goes into ketosis. Okay, where your fat, the stored fat, is being taken is burnt. The store fat is actually burnt, and there is production of ketones. Ketones are very good energy source for your brain. So all these things happens in case of a ketogenic food. The result would be reduction in blood sugar and insulin level. So if you are diabetic, you can actually try a ketogenic diet. It really does reduce your weight as well as sugar also. But the problem is ketogenic diet is not a diet which is very in line with your Indian culture. Where we are so obsessed with our rice and chapatis. So going away from that need not be that good for your body. Okay, so only to take care of the diabetes you can try it, but otherwise don't do it. There are multiple types of ketogenic diets. Standard ketogenic diet, which is low carb and high fat. High protein ketogenic diet, where it is low carb, high fat, and high proteins. Okay, so you eat a lot of protein. Then there is something called as targeted ketogenic diet, where the person actually goes into a ketogenic diet normally, and just before you work out, you have high carbohydrate diet. So you could have already heard about carbohydrate loading. That is just before your workout or your performance, you eat a high carbohydrate diet, which causes the energy to surge. So that can be incorporated with the ketogenic also. Then cyclic ketogenic, where the person goes into a ketogenic diet for 5 days, and then 2 days they have high carb diets. Okay, so it keeps on cycling. What are food to avoid in ketogenic diet? Sugary food, grains or starches, rice, cereals, wheat paste, chapatis, everything is contraindicated here. Fruits you're not allowed to eat, which has carbohydrates in it. Beans and your lentils you're not supposed to eat. Root vegetables or tubers, that is your potatoes, your beetroots, all those things you're not supposed to eat. Low fat and diet products. Some sauces, certain sauces which are very unhealthy, you're not supposed to eat. Unhealthy fats, vegetable oil, mayonnaise, alcohol, sugar-free diet food, what is coming in packages, don't eat that. What food is being allowed is meat, red meat, steak, ham, sausage, bacon, chicken, turkey, all those things. Fish is very good. Egg is good. Butter and cream, cheese, you can use paneer. Nuts and seeds, lots of nuts and seeds, almonds, walnuts, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, all the seeds can be used. Healthy oils, especially coconut oil, is supposed to be very healthy. So you can use that. And avocado oil is also good. Avocados as such is good. Low carb veggies, veggies which are not high in carbohydrate content, like your tomatoes, your peppers, your bell peppers, all those can be used. Okay. Intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is where you have 24 hours. Okay, you eat for a eating window and you have a fasting window. So only in the eating window you are supposed to eat your food, and in the fasting window you are supposed to go into a fasting mode. So I told you before when I was talking to you about my grandparents, 7:15 we used to stop eating, we used to be ready for bed, and next day morning around 8:30 would be our breakfast. So around 13 and a half hours of fasting was there. Now what happens in okay, so 12 hours around you can start with. 16:5 is the normal thing that is being followed by people, which is easier to follow. 18:6 is also good, where it's 18 or 16 is your fasting window and 6 or 8 is your eating window. It can be taken up to 20:4. That is 20 hours you fast and 4 hours you eat. Or OMAD. OMAD is one meal a day. Okay, that is you eat only once, but a high calorie meal. Okay, it should when you're fasting, you should make sure that you're drinking lots of water, and the calorie of your eating window, it should not go less than 1,000 or 1,200 calories. You should keep that calorie very specifically maintained, because otherwise you go into too much of tiredness. So intermittent fasting is something your grandparents did. So they could have fasted. In Kerala, there is something called as Thingalasha Vradam. Okay, that is Monday fasting for your husbands. So they go into a fast every Monday. The benefits are just already scientifically proved. Okay. It protects against any degenerative diseases, neurodegenerative diseases. It controls your insulin. It reduces your insulin resistance. It reduces the glucose level in your blood. It reduces fat content in your body, because fat is being burnt actually for energy. It reduces heart disease, cholesterol levels. It makes your mind sharp. It helps you with inflammation, reduces your inflammation. It throws out toxin from your body. So the fasting benefits are too high. Okay, so this is how it is. The fast eating window is there and the fasting window is there. Depending upon your comfort, you can change the timing. It's something which actually works. Excuse me. So 12 hours, it's not yet a fasting stage. When you hit that 12 hours, beyond 12 hours is your fasting stage. In between 12 hours, you are going to use the last meal what you have had. Okay, so your dinner is being just digested in 12 hours, in the next 12 hours. By the time you get to 16 hours around, it's slowly getting into the fat burning zone. High levels of human growth hormones are there, which is needed for lean muscle mass build up. So whenever you build up your lean muscle, actually your resting metabolism also increases. So that increases your metabolic range and decreases your weight, or your body will be maintained. 20 hours, your fat burning is really in a very good space. 24 hours, fasting sweet spot we call it. You have the best amount of fat burning in 24 hours. Okay, so any of the whatever works for you can be done. So first question that we get is, when you're fasting, what do you have? You can have water, you can have black coffee without any sugar. Yeah, this is pretty much it. Okay, some people do say that you can have green tea, but green tea actually takes the tea, the substance in your tea is taken as or recognized by the body, and insulin will be released, little amount of insulin will be released, so it's not used. Black coffee is good. And the last but not the least, as physios, exercise. Okay, for anyone to lose weight, you need to exercise. So what exercise do you do? High intensity exercises are needed. Frequency will be 5 to 6 days a week. You need to have that 1 day off break so that your body can recover from exercise. Okay, intensity, target heart rate should be high intensity. I told you that is 60 to 80%, but you should be maintaining at least 20 minutes of your total workout time between 75 to 85% of target heart rate. Okay, so that much range should be maintained. Do go back and calculate your THR. Okay, if you had to work out in 60 to 80 or 70 to 85%, then do calculate your target heart rate. When I say 70 to 85, when you're working out, if you substitute 70 in that particular formula, you would get a number, And if you substitute 85 in that formula, you would get another number. So your heart rate should be in between that. Nowadays, it's very easy to check your heart rate because you have gadgets, okay, all smart watches and Fitbit and all those things are there. So it's very easy to take care of your heartbeats. So around 20 minutes, you should be keeping it in between 70 to 85%. Rest, you can go from 60 to 80%. Or the RPE, you can look at 15 to 17%, where it is hard or to very hard is the intensity. Time would be 45 to 60 minutes. Type, you can have HIIT, that is high intensity interval training, circuit training of 3 to 1. So high intensity interval training or circuit training, both can be very well used in case of a group exercise, or you can you do it at home also, especially for new mothers, where you keep changing. In 30 seconds, you're going to do cardio. The next 30, you take a break of 5 minutes, 5 seconds or 10 seconds. Then you can go into a strength move. Then you can go into endurance move. So it can have different stations, and the exercise goes on in a circuit way. 3 to 1 is nothing but 3 minutes you are going to spend on strength training. So the strength training can be anything. It's not necessary that you have to take a deadlift, or it's not necessary that you have to work out only at gym to do a strength training. 3 kgs of dumbbell is enough and more. Okay, you can do a push press, you can do a squat press, which becomes a superimposed move because you're doing a squat as well as a press. So both the group of muscles, your upper limb, your lower limb, as well as your trunk muscles are used. You can do a push-up. The amount of strength, you can do body weight training or weight training in strength. Okay, next 2 minutes, you're going to work on your cardio. So cardio can be jumping jacks, what we used to do in school, normal jumping jack, high knees, skips, boxing. Boxing is a very good thing if you have a or the squat, wherever you are comfortable with, and do a boxing. It gets your heart rate really high. Then the last 1 minute, you need to focus on your core. So focusing on core muscles as well as your pelvic floor muscles. Okay, especially for mothers. Now the problem with mothers, because almost like 80% of my clients would be mothers, new mothers. Okay, they want to get back to their yummy mummy body as soon as possible, but they don't want to go to a gym. So normally I give them this 3 to 1 program, which have really good results. It's worked on me also really well. All the exercises can be done at home. Okay, so that is a wonderful method. Only just remember the 3 minutes, you will be using 2 strength move. So 45 seconds, you will be using 1 strength move, and the next 45 seconds, you will be using another strength move. So that would come up to 1.5 minutes, that is 1.5 minutes. Then you repeat that 2 moves. Okay. Or you can take it as 30 seconds of one move and 1 minute of one move. So how you regulate is according to the physiotherapist. Whatever you feel the client can tolerate can be done. 2 seconds, it will be 30 seconds of 2 minutes, it will be 30 seconds of cardio, 1 move. Say you're doing jumping jack, 30 seconds, another 30 seconds high knees, so that becomes 1 minute. The whole thing is being repeated twice, so that becomes 2 minutes. 1 minute of core, I'm going to do crunches or reverse crunches, 30 seconds, 1 minute. Okay, so that is how you you work on 3 to 1 principle. So again, I repeat, 3 minutes for your strength move. You can have 2 different strength move, which is being repeated twice. 2 minutes for your cardio, 2 types of cardio exercises, which is repeated twice, 30 seconds each. The other one was 45 seconds each. And 1 minute of core, 30 seconds, 2 moves, which will not be repeated. Okay, this 3 to 1, which is 6 minutes, have to be repeated thrice. So 1 set, 3 to 1 would become 1 set. You repeat the same thing, or you can be more creative and take up more exercises. Repeat it 3 times. You should include your warm up and your cool down period also. The whole thing will be finished in 30 minutes. Okay, so 6 minutes into 3, 18 minutes. You have another 12 minutes for your warm up as well as your cool down. Okay, so that works really well for your body. Try and include, okay, so aerobic exercise basically burns your fat. If you're doing aerobic exercise like aerobics or your Zumba, it works wonders for burning your fat, but burning your fat itself will not help you. You need to increase your lean muscle mass so that your basic metabolism actually increases. As your lean muscle mass increases, your basic metabolism also is increased. Okay. That is very important in losing weight. So in order to do that, you need to have strength training. So if it is 3-2-1 you are using, then you are getting your aerobic component as well as your strength component built into it. Okay, and always remember your core. Don't forget your core. If the client is female, don't forget the pelvic floor muscle. I'm not telling only for females, even for males. Don't forget your pelvic floor muscles. It's very important. Look at your inches and not at your weight. Okay, now so the reason you can see here, 2 kgs of fat is that much, and 2 kgs of lean muscle is this much, and you can see the that is very much shown on your inch tape. Okay, inch measurements. Exercise tip, when you're exercising or your clients are exercising, always make sure that they get the right form. If they're doing in wrong form, you probably become rich because you are the physio, but the client will end up having lots of injuries, lots of muscle pains, back pains, knee injuries, ankle injuries, and all those things. So first, get the form right. For each exercise, there are reference points. Okay, if you're doing, say, crunch, you need to keep your knee bent. Okay, there should be enough space between your chin and your chest. There should be enough space to hold a tennis ball in between your chin and your chest. That should not move. You should be looking at the roof. Your shoulder should be coming up, not your neck, not like this. Your shoulder should be coming up so that your rectus abdominis actually work. So each exercise that you do has some sort of reference point. Make sure that you or the client, whoever is doing the exercise, takes care of that. You get your form right first, then only you progress. If your form is bad, then how much ever you progress is going to adversely affect you. Okay, progress only after you achieve correct form and movement. Resistance can be given only when you are 100% sure that the form is correct. Start with lesser amount of resistance, and you can build your way up to the highest recommended weight. Okay, always superimpose. Okay, don't just do bicep curls, then you're not burning enough. Okay, and especially if you're working with new mothers and all, the time is time is precious than gold. So be creative in ways where you can recruit many muscles, larger muscles, superimpose them, and then create a workout regime. One exercise would be, you can do a lunge, forward lunge, static forward lunge, and a bicep curl, or a dynamic forward lunge along with a bicep curl. So bicep curl is working on your upper limb, and the lunges are working on your lower limb. And to maintain the posture, you are working on your trunk muscles also. So all the muscles are being recruited, that is being superimposed. Okay, superimposed principle is very important. So that is your exercise tips. If you have any more questions, you can come in. I think I have bypassed 30 minutes extra. I'm so sorry.
No problem, madam.
I hope I have not bored my participants.
I hope so, madam. You will take questions from participants.
Yes. Duna, is there any way that I can see
asking about repeat the formula actually? Yes.
A formula?
Yeah, that exercise formula you have taken under the exercise.
Carbonance formula. Yes. So THR equal to MHR minus RHR. That is MHR is your maximum heart rate minus your resting heart rate. Into the connection unstable is being shown. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll just go
Yes,
back
yes.
to that. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah, into your percentage of intensity that you want, right? So if it is my main concern is my weight, I need to work out in high intensity. So high intensity, anything is from 60 to 80 or 85, we can push it, okay, to 85. So what I do is I take my maximum heart rate. How do you get your maximum heart rate? You minus 220 minus your age, you get your maximum heart rate. That minus your resting heart rate. What is your resting heart rate? At rest, what is your heart rate? You just check your heart rate, okay? Normally say it is 70. Okay, so you got your maximum heart rate minus your resting heart rate. Now into that, take the lower limit of your intensity. So if it is 60 to 80%, put 60 by 100, solve that plus your RHR, that is your resting heart rate. So you will get a number, say 150. Okay. Then you take up maximum heart rate minus resting heart rate into 80 by 100. You solve that plus your RHR, that is your resting heart rate. So you will get somewhere around 160, 170. Okay. So what I mean to say is that you should make sure that at least 20 minutes of your total 45 minutes, you will be putting your heart rate between 160 to 170. Okay. Like that. Am I clear with the formula? This is second year exercise therapy formula, governance formula, very famous.
Yes, ma'am.
I hope I have cleared the doubt. Next question.
Yes. The next question is from your colleague Sankar Ganesh. For obesity management, which day I have to start high intensity exercise? Any standard guidelines are there?
Who Ganesh sir has asked, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Which day you can start? See, if you are a couch potato, I wouldn't ask you to go and do a high intensity exercise the first day. Okay. So you start slowly, right? If you're a couch potato, as in, if you are a person who sits on the couch full time, then even walking in your living room is counted as an exercise. Okay. So you progress slowly. You don't hit 60 to 80% all of a sudden. No, you progress slowly. As and when you are progressing, first you start with mild. There are people who have gone out for jogging one fine day and died of heart attacks. Okay, we know that very well. So don't do that. You progress it slowly over a period of time, but the weight loss will be seen only when you start into Ganesh sir. I'm not meeting him for a very long period of time. As I told you, 7 days he is on duty and 7 days I'm on duty. So sir, please don't go and exercise all of a sudden tomorrow onwards. You start walking or start lower methods of exercising. Say I'm going to do a bench press or deadlift. Let's see. Okay, if sir is going to do a deadlift, he can start with 15 kgs, slowly go up. Okay, once his form and everything is ready, he can add on weights. So 15 kgs is the barbell weight. Okay, normally you can add on weights slowly over a period of time. So you should not be exercising on the first day at 60 to 80. The problem is you will be able to exercise, no issues, but the next day you will not exercise. Okay, so you have to go slowly. But weight loss maximum would be seen in high intensity exercises.
I have one more doubt, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Tell me,
Yes,
sir.
ma'am. Actually, most of the patient coming for obesity management, they are coming with almost
Yes.
they're not a perfect fit. If I started intensity exercise for immediately, so initially I have to start any other cardio exercise, or I have to wait for some other day, or and how long the patient
Yeah.
can reduce the weight, ma'am? Any other duration is within 3 months, or any other guidelines? This exercise will be
Yes.
3 months.
Actually,
Definitely.
sir, I think for me, it has happened in 1 month. Okay. So when we were talking about what is the ideal weight loss that you can achieve in a month, it is 2 to 2.5 kgs, not more than that. So if a person who is absolutely sedentary comes to me, I don't put him on high intensity exercise training right away. I put him maybe on a bit of warm up and then a training period and then a cooling period. In the training period, I would ask him to walk. So you can play with the inclination of the treadmill. If you have a treadmill, if you have the luxury of it, then well and good. Otherwise, a wonderful thing, right now it's very useful for people who are stuck up in lockdown. And Shankar sir, you can also do it. In YouTube, search for Leslie Walk. Okay. Leslie Walk is a method of walking in your living room. So you don't need to go out. So there is no chances of social, community based infections. You can do the workout in your living room. And Leslie actually gives 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile, 5 mile walks. Okay, so start with 1 mile. Around fourth or fifth day, you will find that you are able to go through the exercise very easily. So when you feel that, step up, go to second mile. Okay, so whenever the thing is, if you are able to do it in your comfort zone, then you're not challenging your system, you're not going to lose your weight. When you feel that you can't carry on anymore, okay, as a client I'm telling, when you feel that you can't carry anymore, and then you do 2 more repetitions, that 2 repetitions is much more important than whatever you have done behind. Okay, so if I'm able to do 20 mountain climbers in my comfort zone, and then after 20 I feel, oh my god, I can't do anymore, and then I do 2 more, that is my workout, not the 20 which I was doing. Sir, have I?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Because whenever I'm going to prescribe the patients, it will be very difficult. That's what I'm asking you to say.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you, ma'am.
if you have a treadmill, as we have a treadmill in St. John's, so we can start with a flat, this thing with a very mild velocity as well as very mild speed. Okay. Then as the person is comfortable with that, you change the speed and the inclination. So that's a wonderful method of increasing your or progressing your exercise in TMT.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for answering. Thank you. Super, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other
Madam, the
questions?
next question is from Anjali Gupta. Can you please tell again about body composition assessment?
Okay, so body composition assessment is when you stand. I don't know if you have seen the machine. You can stand. There'll be a plate, a metal plate on the machine. Excuse me. They'll give you 2 handle-like thing. So I am trying to get my. Are you able to see that? I'm trying to get a picture of it. Okay. Anyway, it is almost like your weighing machine. Okay. Only thing, where you keep your legs, you have a metal plate, and you have 2 metal handles also onto which you hold on. So when you do that, a very slight current is passed through your body, entering point being your leg and the hand being the exit point. So the current, the sensors in your hand or the output is being measured, is measuring how much amount of current is coming back to the sensors. So the resistance of the body's organ is being measured. So the fat has different capacity to let the electricity through it. Your water has different capacity for conductance of electricity. Your muscle have different capacity of conductance of electricity. Depending upon the current feedback that we are getting, we see how much amount of fat or muscle or bone or visceral fat or subcutaneous fat is there in the body. So that is called as your body composition analysis. It is a very valid gold standard method to know your outcome of your exercise training. Any other questions, sir?
Yes, madam. There are many questions, madam. Please wait. There are a lot of appreciations also.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I hope,
yes,
because when people talk about weight management, it just goes bouncer. I hope I have simplified it really well and
yes, madam.
got it again to
Really,
my audience.
really, you have explained the endocrine system partly, not partly, actually most. because
you.
diabetes is also there. That's why.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So insulin becomes a very important thing, especially in intermittent fasting. Next
Yes.
question, sir.
From Dr. Ria, is it okay to do exercise empty stomach under weight loss program and the same individual is on intermittent fasting?
It is okay. Actually, you can do exercise, even heavy weight lifting, even high intensity exercise when you're fasting. The time when you exercise becomes very important in weight loss. So if you can time your workout at around 16th to 18th hour of your intermittent fasting, the result is very good. So basically what I tell is intermittent fasting, if you're doing exercise during your fast time, during the end of your fast time. So basically we'll get a time to work out in the mornings.
Okay. The next question is from
Ideal time
Jiva.
to 18 hours. Yes, sir.
Okay. The next question is from Jiva
Sir?
Sharan. The next question, some exercise
Yes,
that can be done by elderly obese to lose weight. Please tell.
Elderly obese. So I just talked about Leslie walk. I love that. It is very much friendly for elderly persons. I recommended my mom to do it. I have taken the link and I've sent her, and she's doing it at home right now. It gives you very less impact on the lower knee. On your knees. It's very good way of walking. So the elderly doesn't have to go out in this Corona time. Uneven surfaces are taken out. Only thing that they have to take care of is a good sportswear, sports shoe, and loose clothes and little bit of water along with whenever they are doing it. Other exercises for you, Leslie walk, Lesli walk. Okay, so you can go ahead and search it in YouTube. You will get really good one walk, half mile, and there are many workout regimes. Another one that I would suggest for elderly is, if you are in a community, have a group session when Corona has gone out, or if you can maintain the distance even now, you can go ahead with a group session, because that becomes something for them to look forward to. They can meet their friends, they are of the same age group. You can give small exercises, like you need not give a jumping jack for them, but step outs along with hand abduction adduction is a very good alternate for that. So any exercise you take, you can have a step down or a step up version of it. You can do that. So high knees needn't be jumping into it yet. You can just stand and just flex your hip and knee to your chest level. Good enough. But Leslie walk actually works really wonderful.
Yes, madam.
Yes, sir.
I will also check in YouTube about Leslie walk.
Please do check.
Yes, ma'am. The next question is from Deepti. Ma'am, kindly brief about the resistant carbs and breastfeeding and workout for new mom.
Sir, your sound is breaking, sir. I'm not able to hear.
Madam, kindly brief about resistant carbs and breastfeeding.
I'll read out, ma'am. Hi, ma'am. Kindly brief about the resistance carbs and breastfeeding and workout for new mom.
Resistant carbs.
Resistant carbs and breastfeeding and workout for new mom.
Okay, so breastfeeding and new moms, there are a number of studies which have already proved that there is no problem if the mother works out. Okay, I'm sorry, not works. Workouts. It's works out. So there is absolutely no issue. It is not going to change the composition of the blood. It's not going to change the composition of the breast milk. It is not going to adversely affect anything as far as the baby is concerned. What would be the one point that I actually take care of whenever I am doing a postnatal exercise regime to lose weight is that I teach the exercises to them in such a way that they can perform it at home, so they don't have to leave the baby and come to me, or they don't have to go to gym. Second thing is that I don't give anything that increases the abdominal pressure. Okay, because if you increase your abdominal pressure, say in full crunches or sit-ups, or we hold, okay, your abdominal pressure is too high, which can adversely affect the pelvic floor muscles, which is already weak. So don't do that. Other than that, almost all exercises you can give. Please do concentrate on upper limb strength training, because mothers have to carry not only the baby but the bag. Okay, the bag weighs as or more than the baby. So upper limb exercises are very important. Do put that also into consideration. And in 3-to-1 exercise regime, whatever I have spoken about, the 1 minute which I told about the core muscles should include your pelvic floor muscles also. So first teach them the pelvic floor muscle contraction. Kegel's exercise is very important. Teach them that, and teach them to incorporate that also into the exercises, so that later on they don't get any incontinence or any such stuff. Other than that, the exercises remains the same. More of importance to upper limb, more of importance to pelvic floor gradient.
Next question, Rupesh.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hi, sir. May I? This is Deepti.
Deepti.
Hi, ma'am. It was a great presentation and thank you for the opportunity. Actually, my question was, I just want you to brief us about resistance carbohydrates.
I could hear briefness about, after that I couldn't hear it.
Resistant carbohydrates.
Resistant carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Resistant carbohydrates. Resistant
No,
carbohydrates.
Are we talking about insulin resistance?
Ma'am, are you talking about insulin
No, no.
resistance?
Yeah, a term called as resistant carbohydrates in the diet. Hello?
Resistant
Am I audible?
carbohydrates.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, there was a picture in your slide. It was written over there that resistant carbohydrates is asking about that, I think.
Resistant carbohydrates in our diet.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it okay? Is it leptin resistance or insulin resistance that you're talking about?
No, ma'am. The term called as resistant carbohydrates in our diet, the carbohydrates which is resistant in the intestine, which doesn't get absorbed in the intestine.
Resistant carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are carbohydrates which can't be broken down. Very much found in your rice, white rice. Okay, the boiled ones, the preservatives, whatever is there, that makes your carbohydrates very much impossible to be broken down. Okay, so it can create many health issues. It can even nowadays there are studies which says that it can cause carcinogens. It can be directly stored as fat. It can be, so tough to break down into glucose or fructose also. But you can't treat that with your exercises. It needs further management from the medical team.
Got it, Deepti? Deepti, are you there?
She's there.
Yes, she's there, but please unmute, madam. Are you satisfied with the answer?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
And the next one is from Miss Ashka. For menopausal women, can intermittent fasting work for weight loss?
Yes, it can. It can. It's actually wonderful for menopausal women. Because as you know, the estrogen dominance sort of is off the chart during a menopausal time. So it actually your metabolic rate becomes very sluggish. Okay, so by intermittent fasting, you are putting less amount of impact onto your metabolic system. So you're getting you're buying your body more time to actually go through your meals and break down it into energy. So intermittent fasting works really good for menopausal also. And there are so many people who have actually reduced weight during menopause, because weight reduction in menopause is really, really tough with the help of intermittent fasting.
Yes, ma'am. Next one is from Miss Namya Samnani. Ma'am, is it safe to start with exercises from the first day itself for people falling under morbid or super obesity based on BMI?
Okay, so if it is morbid, see, as I told you, if you are a couch potato, even if you move from the couch, I'm happy with it. Okay? So to understand, you are. Oh my God, who is that? Okay, so if you are even walking 500 meters can challenge your cardiac system and can reach your heart rate into the high intensity heart rate sector zone. So you need to go slow with them. You need to introduce exercises over a period of time. You can't go ahead and start with high intensity exercises. You have to first do a ETT, that is exercise tolerance test. It can be any protocol that you want to. I normally prefer, if the person is very obese, low ETT, that is low intensity exercise tolerance test is the best to analyze them. See if they're okay, and then only you go forward. If they are really obese, wonderful thing to do is aquatic therapy. You put them into a pool and ask them to walk just across the pool. That challenges them enough, but it doesn't create much weight on your knees, neither on any of the joints. So it works wonderful for them. But over a period, don't give the body time to adapt to your exercises. The next day or the third day, you increase the rounds or the miles that they are walking. That is very important. Otherwise, we could have had the most fit women in India. Because everyone comes and tells me, I exercise so much. So when I ask, what do you exercise, they will be telling, I'm running around the house, I'm doing the chores, I'm running around my kids. That is not exercise. That can't be tolerated as or counted as exercise. Your body is already adapted to it. Okay, you need to challenge your system. Exercise for the sake of exercise is exercise, otherwise it's not. Okay, you walk 5 kilometers every day, not going to challenge your body. First 2 weeks it will challenge your body. After that, your body will get adapted. You have to change, you have to progress, you have to keep set principle in your mind.
Fine.
Next question.
Many thank you messages after that. Sir, Chandramohan sir.
Yes. Can we conclude?
Yes, sir.
Madam, you
No
told
questions.
that wife in Kerala do fasting on Mondays for their husband.
Sorry? Yeah,
You told
fasting. Yes.
Is there any
Yes.
fasting like for a girlfriend and boyfriend? Any other specific
Sir,
day?
oh God, methodologically it was done by Parvati to get Shiva as the husband, because he was, if you know, he was in deep meditation when she came after being Sati, and she took the next Janmam to be Parvati. He was in deep meditation, and she had to come across that. So that is the time when she actually prayed to get him as the husband. So that is being carried on to girls nowadays also, that once the husband is there, it is for their long life, and if husband is not there, then to get boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever. So boys also can do it nowadays. We believe in equity and female empowerment. So yes, please go ahead and fast. It's good for your body. Wonderful question.
Because
I'm
I
pretty
want
sure
to
it's your question, sir.
Okay, madam. Thank you. And here we conclude. Before we conclude, here I take opportunity to thank all the resource persons and participants of Webinar Super League web series organized by ExRxIndia. And yes, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Sir, again, your sound is going. I couldn't hear anything. I heard last what I told, that you could have probably asked me the question. So.
Okay, madam. Just concluding the session. Before conclusion of the session, I would conclude the whole series actually. Here I take the opportunity to thank all the resource persons who contributed for this whole series and all the participants who attended and registered with our ExRxIndia and Sri Samraj Health Services Private Limited's web series. And also I would like to thank Dr. Manoj, who is founder of PhysioActive, for sponsoring the Zoom connection for past 2 months. And also Dr. Arunachalam, Sairam Academy, for his support and contribution for the web series by taking a lot of sessions. And Mr. Sambat Kumar, CEO, Sri Samraj Health Services Private Limited, and Dr. Rupesh, Pickle Studio, and Professor Duna Saha, Dusat Creations. Both are team ExRxIndia members, and I thank them for their tireless work. I thank all the volunteers who helped us in many ways. And now, time to thank our resource person today. Thanks to Dr. Rejisha for a wonderful session. Her session was speaking many of our minds and our laziness also, actually. So if we are concentrating all those things, set proper principle and set ourselves to get ready to work out, sure, we will lose our weight. Thank you for a wonderful session. Thanks for all the participants. Thanks for wonderful questions. And I thank everyone. Thank you, madam. Good night.
Good night, sir. Good
Thank
night,
you so much, sir.
Good night, ma'am.
Good night, and thank you, ma'am.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you on Webatran.
Oh.
Join us with the next series, ma'am. See you.
Yeah, sure. I can't hear half the things. I'm
Can you hear me?
Deaf. Sorry.
Okay, madam. Okay, madam.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.